We are totally aligned on bombing brown people. Let's just keep doing that. Yeah, so this was basically a very funny takeaway. But Trump leaked text messages that came from Emmanuel Macron, okay? The prince. From President Macron to President Trump, my friend, we are totally in line on Syria. We can do great things on Iran. I do not understand what you are doing on the Greenland. Let us try to build the great things. I can set up a G7 meeting after Davos on Paris on Thursday afternoon. I can invite the Ukrainians, the Danish, the Syrians, and the Russians, and the Margians. Let us have the dinner together in Paris together on Thursday before you go back to the US. Love, Emmanuel. Oui, oui. In any case, Donald Trump leaks that fucking text message. And the takeaway there is, yeah, we're totally aligned on bombing brown people. Let's just keep doing that. Like, the fuck are you doing? You're fucking up the bag. Jason Hickel continues. In all seriousness, this is quite a revealing conversation from the perspective of the world systems theory. Macron is appealing to Trump by saying, hey, we are both part of the imperial core. Let's focus on our shared objective of subordinating the periphery. What he fails to understand or just doesn't want to acknowledge is that there is a hierarchy within the imperial core itself. The U.S. is the main imperial power and seeks to shape the rest of the core, including Western Europe, in its own interests. This has historically included interfering in European elections and even drafting plans for invasions. The U.S. will not blink at the prospect of invading European territory in order to advance its geopolitical power. Macron is foolish if he believes that he can appeal to core solidarity, because from the perspective of the U.S., no such thing exists. The correct approach is for Europe to break from the U.S. and chart a more independent path. Here is another leaked text message from Mark Rutte, who once famously called Trump daddy in a private text message. Okay. Mark Rutte, lead of NATO, said he will find a way forward on Greenland. When one side threatens to invade, you don't offer a way forward. You use clear language to say it's unacceptable to annex a NATO ally. Mark Rutte must resign, a traitor to Europe. European liberals and European right-wingers, understand something. What Donald Trump is doing is basically just reinforcing what already existed, the system that existed that was in place. A system that, through liberal niceties, made you feel like you had a say in this, made you feel like you had some sovereignty, made you feel like you were actually retaining some of the imperial super profits. But ultimately, you were slaves to capital in the same exact way that the American administration is, okay? And Donald Trump, recognizing the instability born out of unchecked capitalism in the aftermath of the dissolution of the USSR and where we are in 2026, is saying it's time for something different. It's time to maintain order once again. And when liberalism has failed historically in Europe, and I think you guys know that through your own fucking histories, fascism came in as a way to reassert dominance, the dominance of capital, when there's global panic and instability. Donald Trump is doing it now. He's doing it. This kind of text messaging, thank you, Mark Rutte, the Secretary General of NATO, says Donald Trump. Mr. President, dear Donald, what you have accomplished in Syria today is incredible. I will use my media engagements in Davos to highlight your work there in Gaza and in Ukraine. I am committed to finding a way forward on Greenland. Can't wait to see you. Yours, Mark. I cannot believe how much Mark Rutte sucks Donald Trump's penis, dude. I think it's going to take time. But I think Europeans are kind of going to realize that what they thought they had with this allegiance with the United States of America was built on a fucking lie. And some people will harden their position on American dominance. All of the right-wing nationalists, all of the fascists, the international consortium of fascists will heavily lean into the United States of America, in my opinion. They will heavily lean into American dominance. They'll say they'll harden their positions, and they'll try to make an argument about how it's actually much better because otherwise you'll have scary Chinese control over our country, and we can't have that. But the pathway for European sovereignty comes from decoupling from the United States of America and leveraging relationships with China. Okay? That's it. If you don't do that, America's self-destructive fascist forces are going to come for you as well. And their allies in your country will destroy you so that America can easily control it, so that America can easily control your lives and easily control your country. At least for all of my criticisms of Canadians, they very quickly realized that, right? That was the Mark Carney electoral victory. Pierre Poilievre was doing very well in the polls. Everybody hated Justin Trudeau. And there were plenty of people who were willing to vote for PP. But what happened? Trump started talking about how he's going to annex Canada, and Canadians woke up very quickly to the dangerous alignment that Pierre Poilievre had with the United States of America, and they voted against it. Okay? And there are still Canadians in your ranks, if you are Canadian, there are still Canadians in your ranks that have this same design, that want American intervention, that want American annexation. They're called Albertans, okay? What will most likely take place in Canada in the upcoming years, if Trump does actually remain unchecked and doesn't receive any pushback from the likes of Mark Rutte, which seemingly is not coming, he will feel more emboldened to go and overtake Canada as well. Okay? And when they do that, there will be the Albertan separatist movement that wants to unify with America. Obviously, that referendum will fucking fail. And then America will say, oh my God, there's electoral fraud here. It must be the Venezuelan Dominion machines that caused electoral fraud to take place. We have to fight for Albertan dignity, fight for Albertan independence, and then boom, annexation. And that's not my assessment. That's Steve Bannon basically signaling that this is what they want to do. Bannon constantly links Ukraine and Canada in the same breath, which gives a clue to the game plan. Promote Alberta separatist movement in referendum. When Alberta separatists are defeated in referendum, claim election fraud and stop the steal. Use election fraud as a pretext for sending in troops to restore order, protect northern interests, etc. Annex Alberta and perhaps the rest of Canada. Not saying this will happen, but it's something percolating in Bannon's rancid mind.
Here's the deal. What President Trump's argument to Canada is, and they've just kind of blew it off, but when he talks about defense, what he's making the point on the Arctic is that Canada is kind of like Ukraine, right? The Chinese and the Russians are up there, and they see the undefended northern territories of Canada. They're going to take a bite. The Canadians got to understand something.
They're
going to in your territory, and they're going to dare you to do anything about it, and you're going to turn to Big Brother. Go ahead.
We're getting Alberta is the linchpin. So when Trump says Canada is going to be the 51st state, he's speaking, he's vamping, he's having a little fun. But what he's really saying, because I know a lot of the guys in charge of the Albertan separatist movement or their prosperity movement, Alberta, they've already met twice now with the State Department. The Albertans are ready to vote in the next 6 months. They're getting out of the Canadian Union. They're going to become an independent state, independent country. We're going to recognize them, and that's going to put them on the pathway to becoming the 51st state. And here's why that's important. Alberta has a bevy of untapped rare earth minerals. They have the world's largest geothermal energy sources. They have some of the world's largest natural gas and oil deposits. So when Trump says Canada is becoming the 51st state, he's really talking about Alberta, and that's important because that's a gateway to the Arctic. Greenland is another gateway to the Arctic. So when we talk about hemispheric defense, we're not just talking about Latin America. We're talking about the polar regions too, Steve, and how they all link together.
Canadians that literally ate the fucking bait and ate the propaganda hook, line, and sinker for the grand design of Taiwanese independence are going to learn very quickly about how America can treat them like China just as easily. If implemented, this is the same strategy that the Western forces have applied around the globe over and over again to all of our foreign adversaries. Okay? do some psyops, especially in the age of social media, where all social media, especially in the Western world, is controlled directly by the United States of America. Do some psyops, boost in the algorithm, how wonderful it will be to get Alberta to be independent. Most recent polling has Alberta separatism under 20% of Alberta. Their non-seceding law. I didn't say that they're actually going to do this democratically. Hello? That takes too much time. And also, that is somewhat of that's liberal interventionism. We don't do liberal interventionism anymore. Okay? The very fact that there is any fucking percentage of Albertans that want independence is insane. Okay, that's insane. That means that like all of the previous initiatives have been fairly successful. The fuck do you mean you want to be separated from the rest of Canada? Are you out of your fucking mind? What are you talking about? It's completely psychotic. It's like a suicide pact. You're just basically holding a fucking gun to your mouth and going, I want to pull the trigger, eh? The fuck? This is what great powers do, though. I mean, this is, to a certain degree what Russia has done as well. It's certainly something that America and other Western powers have utilized over and over again against their foreign adversaries. The point is that there is at least 19%, right? So that then the Trump administration can say, oh, there was an election theft that took place here. Or they might not even use it at all. They might just come in and say, hey, we have to do this because we have security concerns. We have to do this because otherwise Russia and China will come in and take over Canada, and we can't let that happen. I mean, look at Mark Carney. He's actually leaning in the direction of China now. We have to come in and seize control and annex Canada, just like Fallout, in the Fallout universe, where America forcibly seized and annexed Canada because they were fighting against China in the Fallout universe. Canada's developing plans to wage a guerrilla war against the U.S. invasion, in case you are wondering how things are going. Military planners are modeling a U.S. invasion from the south, expecting American forces to overcome Canada's strategic positions on land and at sea within a week and possibly as quickly as 2 days. Canada does not have the number of military personnel or the sophisticated equipment needed to fend off a conventional American attack. They said so. Or they said. So the military envisions unconventional warfare, and with small groups of irregular military armed civilians would resort to ambushes, sabotage, drone warfare, or hit and run tactics. The aim of such tactics would be to impose mass casualties on the U.S. occupying forces, the official said. This rupture in the Joint Defense Agreement would likely see France or Britain, nuclear weapon states, being called on to provide support and defense for Canada against the U.S. Just normal and good. Just normal and good things. And just normal and good things to look forward to, guys. I mean, it's fucking insane. But how can you look at what the DPRK has done as anything but a resounding success? Like, how can you look at the situation that's in front of us right now and think, it's really fucked up that they developed nukes over there? Yeah, America ain't doing this shit to North Korea. Ukrainians that fled to Canada from Russian invasion right now gotta be pissed, bro. Please stop joking. It will come true. Please stop. I don't want a burger. I want to be syrup. Please, I beg. No, you will be burger and you will like it. Hot take, everyone should have one nuke. That's not a hot take. That's the HasanAbi rule for nation building and sovereignty. The U.S. Army fighting against hordes of Canadian liberals while the scheming, quisling Tories hide in the shadows. Oh, that's the other side, by the way. We looked at this yesterday. This is why I was saying, like, my current working theory on this is that if you are right-wing in any country, you actually don't care about national sovereignty at all, okay? What you claim is patriotic is like anti-woke or whatever. All these like reactionary attitudes is just about letting America come and fuck you in the ass, okay? Right-wingers in every country right now, and the further right they go, the worse this gets, want America to come and fuck them, okay? Like, I can't believe it. I cannot believe it. When push comes to shove, when a real question is presented about a preferred response to U.S. invasion, the only party that is, by plurality, in support of rolling over and showing their bellies are the fucking conservatives. And the more progressive you are, the more left you are, the more likely you are to fight for national sovereignty. Liberals at 73% and NDP at 78%. I thought these were the woke they-thems, the septum-piercing wearers, the blue-haired social justice warriors. What the fuck happened? It turns out the more right-wing you are, the more conservative you are, the more invested you are in American dominance. That's it. The more right-wing you are, the more you want to lick the boot. You only respond to power. You only respond to who the most powerful force is. It's crazy. We're seeing this, and I've been saying this for years and years about right-wing defense of police brutality. We already experienced this on the domestic front over and over again. Whenever right-wingers come out and say, "Oh, you got killed, you deserved it. You deserve to be killed by a cop. You have to always comply, comply or die, comply or die." But it blows my fucking mind. It blows my mind that you got people that claim to be the real patriots here that have more of an investment in fighting their own fucking neighbors than fighting Americans that would potentially invade their country. It blows my mind.
This headline: I'd take Trump, warts and all, over our complete and utter lawyer of a PM. Maybe the US buying Britain isn't such a crazy idea.
Another thing that I was joking about that is...
Does anyone want to have a go at explaining what that means? If you're unfortunate enough to have written tons of columns, many of them, of course, from America, about why he's so wonderful and why you love him and why he's so great and why you don't care about the self-confessed sex offending or the lying about elections or the launching of violent insurrections or the pardoning of convicted drug traffickers while you're arresting or kidnapping another one, about the grabbing of women by the genitals, about the abuse of disabled journalists and the abuse of genuine military heroes, Gold Star families. If you've convinced you don't care yourself, you don't care. He's my guy. I love him. My scarf is tight. Then what are you left with now? Don't support your own prime minister. Don't support your own government. Don't support your own country. Support the foreign leader with the CV I've just described to you, with an absolutely obvious disdain for morality. Don't support your own leader. Support the foreign leader who wishes you harm.
The international reactionary movement is organized around demanding American domination over not only the global South, but also their own sovereign states. Send tweet. The international reactionary movement is organized around demanding American domination over not only the global South, but also over their own sovereign states. But also over their own sovereign states. End joke. Welcome back, Charlie Kirk. What is this? We're very happy to share some exciting news. Our family is growing. Usher! Usher's pregnant? Usher's pregante? This is literally a broken clock. This guy's a fucking idiot. I hate this guy. He's the worst. He's the epitome of libtard, huge Starmer fanboy. This is literally a broken clock being right twice. I mean, I don't care if they're like, what you're failing to comprehend is if Starmer rolls over as he has done so, so far, I think those guys will inevitably fucking pull out of that allegiance as well. Usher is pregante. We are very happy to share some exciting news. Our family's growing. You know what this is, right? This is a classic. The relationship is in tatters. Another baby will fix it. This is famously what couples do when they're on the verge of divorce. Okay? Straight up. How could JD cheat on Erica Kirk like this? It's really fucked up, by the way. I, for one, am devastated. Biologist dumbfounded as Usha Vance somehow gives birth to Erica Kirk's baby. Yeah, it's like a surrogacy program, but this time instead of artificial insemination, he did it direct, the old-fashioned style. The old-fashioned way. He pumped it. Classic failing marriage move. Hoping that another baby will fix what's broken. Maybe Usher cheated on him with Stephen Miller. They're all swinging probably. No.
Forces with him and saying, let's conquer Greenland together.
What on earth are you on about?
We should conquer Greenland together.
What do you mean?
Dude, that's awesome. Is that Keir Starmer calling in? I'm Keir Starmer, and I believe we must conquer Greenland together.
Him and saying, let's conquer Greenland together.
What on earth are you on about? What do you mean? On whose authority?
Like Britain used to do in 1700.
Why would we march our forces onto Greenland? What possible benefit would we get out of that?
We'll get a share of the spoils.
Of what?
We'll
of the territory?
Of the territory, of the minerals.
What about the 57,000 Greenlanders who live there?
Oh, they're just collateral damage. As Donald Trump is, he's going to win. So either you jump with him or not.
What would stop him doing that to the UK then? I mean, if we just ignore the wishes of the people who live there and the government, then where do we draw the line?
That's the danger. So we have to join forces with him. And after Greenland, it might be Sweden.
But why does he need Greenland so much, in your view, then, Jonathan?
Why did we need India and China 200 years ago?
I'm asking you now.
To loot it. Money.
What if the Danes say it's our territory, it's part of the Kingdom of Denmark, we're going to defend ourselves? What, you'd be happy with British forces opening fire on Danish troops?
Yes, sending the Viking boats like we did 200 years ago, yes. Sir.
I wonder if you're having me on, Jonathan. This is
I'm totally
insane plan.
I'm 97% sure this is my dad. Oh my God. Dude, I'm telling you, these guys think that they're a part of the fucking plan. They think they're a part of the plan. And it's even dumber than the American right thinking we must invade Iraq. We have to because democracy or whatever. Or, oh, it's going to be great. They have oil. Okay? These guys think they're a part of the team. They're not. This is why I say, like, the labor aristocracy argument actually doesn't hold in this circumstance. The only benefit you get in that situation is that you are not a part of you're not a part of the population that is under the boot, right? That's the only benefit you get. You must understand. Because Osama bin Laden killed 3,000 American citizens, right? On 9/11. And then the administrations that came after, both the George W. Bush administration and Obama, led to 12,000 American forces dying in the process. Millions of Iraqis, but 12,000 American soldiers died in the process. Do you think 12,000 families benefited from this? Like, even if you don't consider the lives of all of the people slain, all of the destabilization that came after that, like the refugee crisis in Europe, all this shit, right? Like, even people who are a part of the empire, they still suffer. They suffer so that capital owners can turn profit. Freaky ass cow, dude. Anyway, Europeans are only panicking over Trump's assault on the so-called rule-based order now that they find themselves on the short end of the stick for the first time. Welcome to the world you helped build.
To Davos. President Macron is speaking.
Yeah, as a Turk, okay, in parentheses, pejorative, I welcome Europe recognizing that they are just like Turkey in this process. Nation states that feel as though they have a say in the process and maybe have had incremental gains as a part of like being in the imperial core. Turkey was never directly in the imperial core, but was a willing participant, right? NATO forces and all this stuff. And the benefit that you get is, at least for the longest time, you didn't get like dominated as hard as like Iraq did, right? But now the tables are turning. You ain't Israel, little bro. That's it. The only country that is a part of the imperial core that gets to do whatever the fuck it wants is Israel, okay? You're not Israel, France. You're not Israel, Denmark. You're Denmark. And you got land that we kind of want right now. It's looking good. It's looking appetizing. Okay? Perhaps you should have not had Greenland, you know? If you didn't want us to come and take it by force. What was Greenland wearing? Rapist president. He doesn't understand no means no. Stop generalizing the European people into what our leaders think. For fuck's sake, guys, all you Americans are literally Trump. No, dude. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm speaking to I'm speaking to the European leadership when I say this. Okay? Please understand. Because these guys have benefited from the system. These guys have benefited from the system because they serve the same exact masters, global capital. That's it.
Taking you across to Davos. President Macron is speaking. You may be wondering about the aviators. He's apparently had eye surgery, which is why he's wearing glasses.
More than 60 wars.
What more can I say when I'm literally demanding that European leadership get their act in order and fight back against my country? Like, what do you think I'm saying? When I say Canadians, rise up in arms, okay, and fight back against my fucking country, I think you should be able to understand that I'm talking, I'm separating the population from its elected representatives, and I'm separating the population from being willing participants in American dominance, okay? And when I shit on Europeans that demand further vassalization, I'm talking about right-wing Europeans. I'm talking about right-wingers.
In 2024, an absolute record, even if I understood a few of them were fixed. And conflict has become normalized, hybrid, expanding into new domains, space, digital, information, cyber, trade, and so on. It's as well a shift towards a world without rules.
You need to get on the level of the Iranian and Venezuelan dissidents and start demanding they bomb America. I mean, I don't think it's going to get there, and I hope it doesn't get there, okay? Yeah, I'm going to be like, China, please, bomb Los Angeles now, please. Please, our people yearn for freedom. Our people yearn for democracy. Please bomb us.
Where international law is trampled underfoot,
okay,
and where the only law that seems to matter is that of the strongest, and imperial ambitions are resurfacing. Obviously, the Russian war of aggression against Ukraine, which will enter into its 4th year next month, and conflicts continue in the Middle East and across Africa. This is as well a shift toward a world without effective collective governance, and where multilateralism is weakened by powers that obstruct it or turn away from it, and rules are undermined. And I can multiply the examples of international bodies weakened or left by the key economies. And when we look at the situation...
God damn it, here we go again, chat. I know. Kaya, I beat the shit out of Kaya. I'm abusing her. Come here. Okay, it's time. It's time for you to finally get this one. I love that half of the people, half of the Kaya Gators also like just don't have dogs in general, so they don't understand that, like, you know, sometimes they tweak shit. Is normal. Please, no, please show her mercy. Oh, this smells so bad. I will show her no mercy. Oh God, this smells so bad. I think it's a trachea or something. Oh God damn it, it smells bad. Yeah, dogs make noises, you know, it happens. Oh. Oh my God. Oh my God. Chat, when I tell you this is the worst smelling thing I've ever... Oh, it smells like straight ass. Oh, I have to fucking wash my hands after this. Jesus Christ, that smells like straight dookie. Oh. Lick it? Fuck no, dude. Oh, fuck no. Ugh. You want it? Here you go. Okay. Oh. Oh. Wait, you don't want it? The fuck? Why are you looking at me? This one is, yeah, it's a trachea, I think. There was a round gullet, a flat gullet, a braided gullet, and a trachea. And I think this one is the trachea. She's eating the Kirk. Yeah. She wants you to try it? No, I'm good. Wait, hold on. Let's take a little break here. Let's see what she does. She established good positioning. Very nice. Okay. Getting into it. Did you touch your face after touching that? Ew. No, I didn't touch like the actual part that I touched. I'm going to go. She's going to lick your face either way. I know. Good form. Very good. Oh, she's already cracking into it. God damn. I don't know if you guys can hear it or not. How many gifted subs to try it? No amount of gifted subs that you can give me will help. Will cause me to try that. All right, let's continue.
It's clearly a very concerning time, because we are killing the structure where we can fix the situation and the common challenges we have. Without collective governance, cooperation gives way to relentless competition. Competition from the United States of America through trade agreements that undermine our export interests, demand maximum concessions, and openly aim to weaken and subordinate Europe, combined with an endless accumulation of new tariffs that are fundamentally unacceptable, even more so when they are used as leverage against territorial sovereignty. And competition from...
Yeah. Europeans are, as Tarek Kenny Shawa says, Europeans are only panicking over Trump's assault on the so-called rule-based order now that they find themselves on the short end of the stick for the first time. Welcome to the world you help build. And just as us Americans have no say in this fucking process, you Europeans have no say in this process either. But considering that you're not America, you should have more of a say in this process. Okay? And if you were to rise up against American dominance and demand sovereignty, you would make it easier for people like ourselves to be able to do so as well. That's it. Nigel Farage and Mike Johnson. Friends can disagree in private, and that's fine. That's part of life, part of politics. But to have the U.S. president threatening tariffs unless we agree that he can take over Greenland by some means without it seeming to even get the consent of the people of Greenland, I mean, that's a very hostile act.
Frank. You know, friends can disagree in private, and that's fine. Mm-hmm. And that's part of life, part of politics. But to have a US president threatening tariffs, unless we agree that he can take over Greenland by some means, without, it seems, even getting the consent of the people of Greenland, I mean, this is a very hostile act. There's no other way I can put it. Let's be frank.
Farage campaigned for Trump 3 times, by the way. No, I know. Hopefully, people will be reminded of this reality over and over again, and there will be a similar, like, Pierre Poilievre style situation in Europe as well. But it's not enough simply to lean into liberalism once again, because liberalism is done. Liberalism is over. If Europe tries to maintain its sovereignty through liberalism, it will fail. Okay, you need to go further. You need to go beyond. Same with the United States of America. Liberalism has no answer for this because this is a more honest and more vulgar version of what the liberal international order looked like anyway.
But now so many red lines are being crossed that you have the choice between your self-respect. Being a happy vassal is one thing. Being a miserable slave is something else. If you back down now, you're going to lose your dignity. And that's probably the most precious thing you can have in a democracy. It's your...
Did you cover the Carney clip already? Yes. Yes, I did. To be clear, this bargain no longer works is because it's targeting them. They had no problem with false international order that targeted and subjugated brown people. Yes, this is true. This is very strong rhetoric inside the frame it exists in. Yes. Exactly. Make no mistake. All of this shit that's going on, all these guys that are like fucking complaining endlessly about this stuff are complaining because U.S. hegemony is now threatening their aesthetic sovereignty. They didn't really have full-blown sovereignty anyway, or at the very least, they were allowed to have like regulatory agencies or have some kind of like command over how, they want to exist. America let them have social safety nets. America let Europe have social safety nets. America let Europe have its own regulatory agencies so that you can have like, cleaner food and socialized medicine and the like. But now that America, by way of tariffs, is also taking that away and saying, no, you can't have any sort of you need to take our chlorinated chicken. That's it. Like, you need to take our chlorinated chicken. You need to take our massive behemoth vehicles, and you need to act as though you like it. All of that patina is gone. It don't shine no more. Now you're beginning to smell the dog shit and see the dog shit that it was. That always was this, global, international, liberal order. A lot of people dismiss independence and sovereignty as an emotional luxury, something you get stubborn about for pride's sake, only to discover that giving up control over your fate means you don't control your fate. Okay, but Europe have not been sovereign in this formulation for 80 years. Would you really argue it was a bad deal for them before Trump? Well, that's kind of the point. You don't get to control whether the deal is good for you or not. Exactly. The only thing Trump is doing away with is the aesthetics. That's precisely the reason why it's been really funny watching all these European leaders talk for the last couple of weeks or the last week or so, saying like, you can just build as many bases as you want in Greenland, Mr. President. What are you talking about? You can do whatever you want. You can do whatever you want. Why are you saying my way or the highway? We're giving you Greenland. You already have Greenland. You have our life. You have military bases all around this continent. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? And Trump says, nope, my way or the highway. I'm going to take it by force. Same thing goes for Canada. The aesthetics are going away. The liberalism is going away. Trump is saying, no, we're doing away with liberalism. It's done. It's my way or the highway. You are vassals. You need to act like it. You need to know that you're vassals. That's it. So now comes the new world order. Do you actually try to maintain sovereignty, maintain dignity, maintain whatever way of existence you want to maintain? Or do you still end up being servile little vassal states to the United States of America because the United States of America is defending capitalism? And the alternative is far too scary because you've been taught that it's scary, it's bad for you. The alternative is socialism, and you cannot have socialism. But one thing you won't have, and I can promise you that, is fucking liberalism. It's done.
We are going to give guidance.
So the real question will now be, do you want socialism or do you want barbarism? And some people, I think, will maintain that they want barbarism. Right-wingers will. Hopefully, many of the liberals will recognize that perhaps it's time for socialism, an evolution away from American sovereignty, because American sovereignty is just defending capitalism, defending the interests of the international consortium of capital owners that have no interest whatsoever in what the working class's needs are, what the working class's demands are. They don't care about nation states. They don't care about boundaries. They care about profit, and that's it.
At some point to see what is a mom and pop that someone, maybe your parents for their retirement, about 5, 10, 12 homes. So we don't want to push the mom and pops out. We just want to put...
He's talking about mom and pop landlords, by the way. Good news for the forgotten man. The mom and pop real estate investor who has purchased 12 homes can breathe easy. The Treasury Secretary is looking out for you. Yeah, based. I love slopulism. Based. Armand Domolowski says, just watching the collapse of American hegemony in real time. Because Macron said we need Chinese direct investment in Europe in some key sectors. American hegemony in particular helped provide public goods, open sea lanes, a stable financial system, collective security. This bargain no longer works. Let me be direct. We are in the midst of a rupture, not a transition. Recently, great powers have begun using economic integration as a weapon, tariffs as leverage. Remember, on Liberation Day, I told you what Donald Trump is saying to other countries is we're going to fix this trade deficit. How can you fix the trade deficit if you don't have goods that they want? How can you fix the trade deficit if there is competitive domestic manufacturing taking place in those countries? Well, you fix it by force. That's it. Donald Trump uses the mechanism of tariffs to basically rewrite the way that trade is supposed to be designed amongst allies in the liberal international order by saying, look, you're going to get our chlorinated chicken, you're going to get our HGH boosted cattle, and you're going to get our corn, which many of these places already have the corn anyway. And on top of that, you're going to get our Ford F-350s, Ford F-450s. And if you don't, we'll punish you, we'll brutalize you, we'll make things really bad for you. On the other side, you have another country that is the manufacturing hub of the entire planet that is saying, oh, do you want EVs? We'll give you EVs. You want to move in the direction of renewables, into the future of energy? We got that for you too. And not only that, but it'll be incredibly cost effective. So, it's a real which way Western man moment. One of the main successes of post-war order is placing a near complete taboo on de jure territorial expansion. Of course, it was replaced with vassalization and interference, but now we're returning to the vulgar original, Trump in Greenland and Russia in Ukraine. Yes, also, there is one other country that has been doing that, for the record, regardless of the New World Order, and that's Israel. An American recognition under Trump 1 of territorial expansion into Syria, the Golan Heights. Israel took over Golan Heights by force and annexed it, and Trump recognized that annexation. And in this new grand design, you're going to need other security cooperative agreements. You're going to need new security cooperation. You're going to need a nuclear security. So now countries with nukes that don't have, that don't let America control those nukes, like the UK, can at the very least, demand sovereignty by force. France, I'm looking right at you. All of a sudden, the economic engine of the European Union, Germany, is no longer more relevant than France. France becomes the security guarantor for the entirety of the European continent. No, because U.S. hegemony was never about liberal values and friendship. It was always based on U.S. power. That hasn't changed. It's so funny. This is like literally the argument that I used to make about NATO over and over again, and people will yell at me so much. So I'm in this unique predicament now where on the one hand, this is a great I told you so moment, but on the other hand, I also don't like the way that America is collapsing the international order. I wish that countries could have come to that recognition on their own, independently, and through their own sovereignty initiatives, without having America literally brutalize these nation states, without America literally saying, no, fuck you, we're going to take over your territory as well. But this is precisely what I was talking about when I talked about NATO for years. This is it. This is what I was talking about. And I hope all the liberals who fucking yelled at me because of the fears that they had about Russian incursion, fears that were realized after Russia did invade Ukraine, by the way, I understand that, will now realize that America's doing the same shit from your western flank now. So you have two options. Either you recognize American dominance and you say the alternative is much scarier, communism, Chinese communism, very, very scary. Or what you think Russia is doing, even though it's not fucking socialist or communist, right? And you're just, you're getting fucked on both ends. Or you fight back against it. That's it. America broke all the rules first. America wrote the rules, man. It's the same principle behind consistently claiming that China is cheating. China is cheating over and over again. After China was able to actually develop and become a competitor to the United States of America and become like a real hegemonic power. Another global superpower. Anyway, where the frick were we? Well, I'm going to cover to every American who's sorry at r/Greenland. We're getting at least 10 posts a day from Americans apologizing, saying things like they didn't vote for Trump or don't support his policies. People, none of that actually matters. You can say you're different from the rest of Americans, but to the rest of the world, the distinction doesn't exist. To us, your country is a single entity on the world stage, and it's threatening its allies. Think about how you view other countries. For example, Russian opposition doesn't change what Russia does because that's their domestic politics. The same thing applies to the U.S. too, except you had the power to choose your president, and you may still have it. So instead of coming here nonstop to apologize on behalf of your country for the constant need for sympathy, focus on actually changing something while you still can. We get the same on Canadian subreddits. We know it's not Americans as individuals, but we have no choice to see them as an entity, just as they see Canada as one. We've never said we're going to use our stock of maple syrup to cover the dividend states, but the orange Mussolini can't keep our country's name out of his mouth. Oh my God, all these fucking, it's so funny. It's liberals are so funny. Oh man. Americans figure out the hard way. Not all men, but enough men applies to international politics too. We know not everyone supported this, but enough did. Once again, like, in some ways, this is expected, but in some ways, it's also unexpected. do you want to go back to the previous setting where you at least feel like you're sovereign, or do you want to actually be sovereign? That's the question I have for people. And some might literally say, no, we want to go back to the old way where we had the feeling of sovereignty, even if we didn't actually have sovereignty. You know? Liberalism is that. From this day on, liberalism presents going back to the old method where you don't have sovereignty, but at least like Trump is building, military bases in Greenland, whether you want it or not. But at least he's not directly taking the land, right? He's not taking an ownership stake over the land. Trump amplifies post that says NATO, not China or Russia, is a part of the real threat to America. So at what point are we going to realize the enemy is within? China and Russia are both boogeymen when the real threat is UN, NATO, and this religion. I put religion in quotes because it's not a religion, it's a death cult. Yeah, I went there. What? I don't even know what he's on, to be honest.
Trump is a real threat to world peace.
Nothing sadder than a dog who begs for a shorter leash because it feels more free than a kennel. Damn. Damn, dude. We got fucking poets in the chat. Holy shit.
It would once have been unthinkable that a former NATO Secretary General would speak like this about a sitting US president. But in an interview with Channel 4 News, Anders Fogh Rasmussen did.
The future of NATO is at stake, and
she is begging to be rolled over. You ain't slick.
The world order as we know it is at stake. So it's a very serious situation.
This as Trump from West Palm Beach in Florida continued to ramp up pressure on old allies ahead of his trip to an agitated Europe this week, doubling down on his designs for Greenland.
Well, I don't think they're going to push back too much. Look, we have to have it. They have to have this done. They can protect it. Denmark, they're wonderful people. And I know the leaders are very good people, but they don't even go there. And, because the boat went there 500 years ago and then left, that doesn't give you title to property.
Just in case European leaders and NATO didn't get the message, he followed his words up with an image of himself planting a flag on the semi-autonomous Danish territory next to a sign saying US territory Est 2026. He also revealed private messages, giving his followers a glimpse of attempts to sway him. I'm committed to finding a way forward on Greenland, said NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte. Can't wait to see you. My friend, said Emmanuel Macron, I do not understand what you're doing on Greenland. Let us have dinner together in Paris. But already in Davos, the Belgian Prime Minister didn't mince his words.
Europe is at a crossroads where it has to decide. Until now, we tried to appease the new president in the White House. But now so many red lines are being crossed that you have the choice between your self-respect. Being a happy vassal is one thing, being a miserable slave is something else.
This weekend in Greenland's capital, furious protesters were joined by their Prime Minister Jens Frederik Nielsen on a march to the US consulate. For them, conceding to the US is out of the question. For European leaders in Davos who will be meeting President Trump on Thursday to discuss his ambitions, stay calm and cajole has been the strategy so far, and one tested to breaking point. On Saturday, Trump threatened 8 allies, including Denmark and the UK, with 10% tariffs in February, increasing to 25% in June if they don't make a deal with him on Greenland. And on Monday, he threatened to slap a 200% tariff on French wine and champagne after President Macron refused to sign up to his so-called Board of Peace, a body he says will secure the future of Gaza, and one he's invited Russia's President Putin to join. China, meanwhile, has come to Europe and Greenland's defense.
We urged the US to stop using the so-called...
I saw some dumb fuck MAGA dick rider get owned by other MAGA people, actually. Or at least more intelligent MAGA people, if that is a thing. There's this MAGA guy who was like, well, see, you guys see what China said? Obviously, this proves that Donald Trump was disrupting their interest in Greenland. And then someone literally replied with like, dude, they own like 9% of an Australian company that does mineral extraction in Greenland. That isn't like a major fucking geopolitical interest in Greenland. You're a fucking moron. Like, Donald Trump is destroying one of the most pivotal, long-standing security cooperation agreements that we have so that he can just like take land over for no fucking reason. I cannot believe it. Like, I was watching other MAGA people that are at least like a little bit more intelligent be like, what the fuck are you saying? Just because China came out and said you're disrupting the fucking world order doesn't mean that they're like actually really butthurt about Donald Trump doing this. If anything, they're smoking on the fucking Europac. Why would they be mad about this? This is fucking awesome. It's fucking awesome for China. Everything that Donald Trump does is literally more in the interest of China becoming a serious player on the global stage and not this like scary fucking spooky socialism, the representatives of fucking Chinese style communism that everyone is supposed to be terrified by because they look stable. And they are stable. They represent stability in the global order. Sigh, my parents left the wrong country. Oh, no. You can be an ABC in China, chatter. At least you can still be ABC in China. Some of us whites cannot even be Chinese. At least you're ABC and not ABT, American-born Turk. ABC means American-born Chinese. Not ABG. That's Asian baby girl. ABC is American-born Chinese. Is a term that that I've first heard about in China. I'm a ABWC, American-born white Chinese.
China threat as a pretext for itself to seek selfish gains.
Never before has a NATO member threatened its own allies in this way.
ABC, the American-born confused Daisy.
Is the special relationship still special? Very special, yes.
Trump ally Mike Johnson visited number 10 this...
Cuck. I mean, two cucks, really. Just cuck on cuck action.
Morning before becoming the first ever sitting US House Speaker to address the UK Houses of Parliament. In a moment designed to mark 250 years of independence, it came with a warning for Prime Minister Starmer and collected MPs.
Clearly, President Trump is taking seriously the modern and dynamic...
Oh, that's so funny. You got the Speaker of the House coming to your government and telling you, we fucked you guys up 250 years ago. We got independence, and now you're our bitches, dude. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Keir Starmer is such a perfect vizier for American vassalization, okay? He is the perfect person to put in charge of a vassal state. Just a dog, okay? Just a fucking shameless worm, a dog who just sits there and his primary purpose is to fucking eat America's dick. Yep, there it is. I love this photo. One of my favorite fucking photos of all time that perfectly demonstrates the relationship between America and the UK. When we only negotiate bilaterally with a hegemon, we negotiate from weakness. We accept what's offered, says Carney. We compete with each other to be the most accommodating. That is not sovereignty. That reminds me of someone, says Aaron Bustani. I know that, yeah, the Henry Kissinger quote is actually fake. I don't think Henry Kissinger ever said it may be dangerous to be America's enemy, but to be America's friend is fatal. But it is so real. I mean, you see that with the Kurds in Syria right now. You see that with all of America's allies in the core. All around, dude. Liberals that want to go back to the old way, that think that, next time around, maybe the Democrats are going to fucking win, right? When liberals think, oh, well, Democrats will come into power and then like the system will change again. Like we'll go back to the old way, are basically demanding, let's get back to us being vassals, but us feeling free. Not actually being free, but feeling free. Okay? That's all this is. Anyway. The quote gained traction from declassified documents showing Kissinger warning President Nixon that abandoning South Vietnamese President Thu would signal to the world that being America's friend was fatal. Oh. I thought he didn't actually say that. My bad. My mistake. So he did say it. And he was right, by the way. To be America's friend is fatal. And also, that did signal, well, it should have signaled to the rest of the world to be America's ally is fatal. But it didn't, because everyone was a part of the grand design, the liberal international order, where they thought, you know, this will never come and haunt us. This will never come back to us. We will at least feel like we're a part of the team. And now Trump is saying, you're not a part of the team. You're a fucking vassal state. Suck my dick.
Dynamic threats that China and Russia pose to our global security, especially in focus the last few days as it relates to the Arctic. And while we can have thoughtful debate about, among our friends, about how best to counter these threats, we all certainly agree they must be countered. We ignore these threats at our peril.
His emphasis on joint endeavours and the special relationship skipped over another angry missive from Trump, with Starmer in the crosshairs over a deal giving Mauritius sovereignty over the Chagos Islands, one that would still allow the...
I swear to God, every country just wants to be Israel, or at least thought that they were Israel, and they're not Israel, okay? Every vassal thinks that they had a system that was mutually beneficial. Like, they thought they were Israel, you know? You're not fucking Israel, dude. You were wrong. That's the only country that is not America that gets to behave like America.
UK and the US to continue operating from a base there.
If you're Israel, show me your Mossad and control over an oil-rich region, yeah. Or also an incredibly important trade route as well. Control over an incredibly important trade route, which is in striking distance of the country that controls it. Because that's going to come into play when fucking Egypt inevitably implodes. Because that's coming too. Like, I saw, this is somewhat related, but I think Egypt's got like maximum 2 to 3 years before it fucking completely collapses. Maybe I'm wrong, but it kind of feels like Egyptians have had enough. So much so that when IShowSpeed went to Egypt, Egyptians themselves were like, don't come to Egypt, bro. It's going to fuck you up. It's going to be the worst. It's going to be the worst experience of all time. Like, we're fucking cooked. The country is unimaginably corrupt. The country is actually, the country is about to fucking explode because of how terrible the governances look like. Didn't it already collapse a few years ago? Yes. Bro, please, I'm wanted for army conscription. Send help, says Light Skin Bandit Gaming. You made a prediction, bro. Egypt will now survive for 1,000 years. Hopefully, inshallah. I don't know what it will look like, but I think that's part of the reason why America is hardening Israel to the best of its ability. Because if Egypt collapses, or if Jordan collapses, because there's a lot of instability in both of these places, okay? Then you need Israel to come in and restore order in the fascist way. Because you can't have a dangerous potential sovereign Egyptian state. That's the reason for why Israel is such a key ally in the region. Or at least one of the reasons. Bro, please, I'm wanted for roach slander. Send help. As an Egyptian, yes, the government is corrupt, but the people are not. The people stand with Palestine and against Israel. No, I know that. That's what I'm saying. That's like, listen, I think we all know by now that Mohammed bin Salman does not give two shits about Palestinians at all, okay? And the only reason why he takes the posture that he takes against Israel is because the Saudis, the people, actually care about Palestine, okay? And the same goes for Egypt as well. The Egyptian population literally overtook multiple police precincts a couple months ago when the Egyptian government was like refusing to let people go in through the Rafah crossing when there was like a period of a brief fake ceasefire. I know that. That's why I'm saying Egypt is going to fucking collapse. The government is incredibly corrupt. But also on top of that, the people are very frustrated with the way that the government is operating, especially as it pertains to Israel and the Palestinians. Palestine, American Jordanian dual citizen here, to say that the monarchy has been holding on by a thread for the last 3 years and the only way they're maintaining the regime is because of extensive surveillance and suppression of the Palestinian Jordanian population. Yeah. Jordan is more likely to collapse. You're ruled by a foreigner who's king. The affordability there is severely worse than Egypt, and you have a massive Palestinian population. I think both of those countries are slated for an inevitable collapse. And what comes next, I do not know. What that collapse looks like and what kind of like real mobilization or organization happens in the aftermath of that, I do not know. I'm just saying that there's only so much pressure people can withstand. Why does this person say eat? One factor to remember is the last revolution only happened because the Egyptian military stepped in. This time the president is in full control of the military and filled the ranks with his people. Bro, it's not dissimilar to what's going on in Iran, except this time it's a little different because Iran is a foreign adversary and has been crippled by sanctions. But like, there's only so much pressure and so much repression you can apply to the population until they decide, like, fuck it, you know, it's YOLO time. We're taking up arms. Like, yes, Mossad involvement and American weapons or Israeli weapons were used or Turkish weapons were used in the uprisings that took place in Iran, certainly. But you still got Iranians pulling the trigger, okay? How the fuck do you get Iranians to pull the trigger against their own police? There's real resentment there. And that resentment is obviously partially born out of the economic instability that America caused with its sanctions, but it's also born out of, people experiencing great discontent with the state and the way that the regime strikes people down, refuses to listen to their interests, and tries to maintain its own base of support and their needs and their interests by continuously using like their version of like this Islamic rule upon the Iranian population. But eventually, that with the economic collapse, you are going to chip away at your own base of support as well, just like what happened when the bazaar owners, like the little market owners and the little shop owners, were the starting point for this round of struggle.
But Trump, despite his Secretary of State Marco Rubio describing it as a monumental achievement last year.
The death toll in Iran is in the thousands, admitted by the government, by the way. Remind some members of your audience who were yelling all CIA. I mean, I didn't do that. No matter how much my fucking naysayers try to turn the situation in Iran into another fucking petty disagreement or something. There is CIA and Mossad intervention and involvement, but that doesn't mean that there isn't like very real anger and resentment. Remember, it's not like those were, even if you have, Israeli weapons or Turkish weapons or American weapons being shipped into the country, it was Iranians that were pulling the fucking trigger. Yes, the numbers are not in like the you know, the 20K in the way that people are presenting it. But that doesn't matter because 2,000, 4,000, like those are insane numbers, especially over such a short period of time. CIA and Mossad have also hijacked the narrative and turned it from the economy to repression. That's why you continually saying it's about repression is harmful. That's not true. There's never been a moment where I haven't talked about the economy. That's ridiculous. Egyptian parking ticket police also corrupted. Couple cigarellos will do it. The fuck?
Has posted that it was an act of great stupidity, and another, he said, in a very long line of national security reasons why Greenland has to be acquired. It's a blow for the Prime Minister and his carefully choreographed and until now war.
As far as having Iranians pull the trigger, don't color revolutions have locals doing the actions? On this topic, I'm an idiot. Yes. Yes. It is. Of course. It always is. Yes. The level of foreign intervention and even color revolutions cannot actually lead to success if there isn't already existing discontent that has not been acknowledged, discontent that has been quietly or forcefully suppressed over and over again by a militant state. That's the point that I'm making. If you don't actually lean into the desires of your base or the desires of your population, then yeah, you're gonna have these troubles, and they're gonna grow. The more people you kill, the more family members join the fight and demand vengeance. You can't just like arrest an increasingly larger number of dissidents. Okay, it's just not. There's not. One must ask the question why the Iranian Revolution took place to begin with, because that's what they did. And sure, the base of support that the Shah had was, still much smaller than the base of support that the Ayatollah has. But eventually, something's going to give.
Being felt nowhere more than in the Swiss mountain town of Davos, where global leaders meet this week.
Joining me now from the World Economic Forum in Davos is the former Secretary General of NATO, Anders Fogh Rasmussen, former Prime Minister of Denmark. Mr. Fogh Rasmussen, Emmanuel Macron, the President of France, says he doesn't understand what Donald Trump is doing with Greenland. Do you? Can you enlighten him and us?
No, I don't understand it either. And the serious thing is that the future of NATO is at stake, and the world order as we know it is at stake. So it's a very serious situation.
Perilous indeed.
Yes, it is. So I think we have to engage in a more constructive discussion. President Trump wants to acquire Greenland, but Greenland is not for sale, and you can't purchase something that's
Trump knows. That's why he's taking it for free 99.
Not for sale. So his only means of acquiring Greenland would be to conquer it by a military action, which of course would mean the end of NATO.
Denmark has sent 100 troops into Greenland. Doesn't it need to be much more forceful? You know, it's the only language that Donald Trump understands, the language of power. Doesn't a far larger contingent now need to go into Greenland?
Time has come to stand up against Trump. I would appreciate a stronger presence of NATO troops in Greenland, and I think the European Union should respond determinedly if Trump carries out the special tariffs.
Your successor as NATO Secretary General, Mark Rutte, sent the most sycophantic, I guess, message to Donald Trump, praising his accomplishments in Syria, in Gaza, in Ukraine. Is that the wrong approach? Is that diplomacy 101, or is it sycophancy?
Well, as I said, so far I think it has served us well. But I think enough is enough. He is threatening the current world order that has served us for so well for so many decades. And that's why I think time has come to stand up against him. The only thing Trump respects is force, strength, and unity. And that's exactly what Europe should show now.
Is NATO dead? Because Trump has threatened a NATO ally.
It does not make sense to have a collective security organization where the major ally attacks another ally with the aim to take territory. So it would be the end of NATO.
Standing back, it seems extraordinary that we're having this conversation. When you look at what's happened just in the last few days, you know, Donald Trump plants a Stars and Stripes flag on Greenland, an AI image. He threatens a 200% tariff on French champagne simply because Emmanuel Macron won't join his peace board. He suggests that he'll wage war on Greenland because he didn't win a peace prize. Do you agree with the Conservative peer Dan Hannan, who said today he has plainly now lost his mind?
Yeah, actually, the fact is Trump uses the same kind of language as autocrats in Moscow and Beijing. Putin and Xi Jinping use exactly the same language, and they applaud this.
Dude, you got to uncuck your mind, brother. Brody, uncuck your fucking mind. Dude, what can China do for these these Euroid dipshits to turn around and be like, you know what? Actually, we were fucking wrong. We were wrong all along. Like, America will be like, we're taking over Greenland and maybe Norway's next. And these guys would be like, well, what if the Chinese were to do such a thing? Think how terrifying that would be. It's crazy. It's crazy. Bro says, stop arming Russia. They're not talking about that, though. They're talking about how China's doing the same posture, okay? America is doing Russia directly, okay? Remember, there's no like, oh, China's giving fucking, China's trade maxing with Russia as it's like fucking destroying Ukraine. Okay, sure. America is directly doing Russia shit on the Western flank. What the fuck do you mean? Like, how? How do you still go, but China, in a situation where America's like, fuck NATO, suck my dick. Actually, you're going to keep the NATO situation going, and I'm going to take fucking Greenland by force. And they're like, no, you don't understand, Mr. President. You can actually put the base on there. And he's like, no, I don't just want the fucking base. I want like the land. I want the land. You're going to give it to me. You're going to give me the fucking land. And these guys are like, whoa, what about the Chinese? What are they doing? Did they take Greenland? It's called racism. Welcome to Europe. I know, but like, racism works at the domestic level when you're like, these goddamn immigrants are coming in and taking advantage of our social safety net, so we should just like kill ourselves. We should kill our social safety nets altogether. That's how it works in America. That's how white supremacy works. But at a certain point, like, adults in the fucking room are supposed to be like, okay, I think out of the two major powers on the planet, like, one represents stability, even though they don't look like us. And I'm a little fearful. They say they're communists. And the other one is literally invading us. Yeah, I would assume at a certain point you have to go, yeah, I kind of don't want the guy invading me. I will go with the other guy who is not invading me. You don't understand, they're coping. They think Trump is just playing hardball for a deal on rare earths and bases on Greenland. Yeah, but Trump could have gotten that already. People will be like, oh, yeah, well, what about the Chinese? They might take Taiwan. It's like, bro, America already has multiple Taiwans that they've taken over. Actually, it's not even fucking Taiwan. America taking over Canada would be like beyond the fucking pale. Like, oh my God. Like, I'm trying to find an equivocation, but there's nothing I can even think of. Like, they'll say, oh, Hong Kong. They'll say, oh, Taiwan. It's like Hong Kong was a fucking colonial, on a colonial loan. to the United Kingdom, Taiwan is almost entirely now comprised of Chinese people that escaped with all of the fucking Chinese gold and as much Chinese wealth that they could possibly take so that they could create a cessationist country on the island of Formosa. Yeah, America is pulling a... It's Hitler taking Poland. We just need to say that. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's Austria. I can't even say, like... I don't even think it's like... There's no... Like, the equivalence is crazy. It's like we are going back to colonial powers. Like, we're going back to, like, monarchies, you know? Why didn't they invade that shit immediately? Wait, you mean with China and Taiwan? Because the Korea War happened. That's why. Because when Chiang Kai-shek and the Kuomintang forces escaped the mainland and went to Taiwan with as much fucking gold as they could have they could get their hands on, Mao Zedong wanted to literally go into Taiwan as well and, you know, nip this shit in the fucking bud. But then the Korean War was happening. And the already reduced Chinese forces had to go in and defend Korea from the American genocide that took place. Chiang Kai-shek? Wait, what do you mean? That's what I said, didn't I? I didn't say hi. I said Kai. Did I not say Chiang Kai-shek? Okay. The accent you do is racist. What? The European one? Your fake accent is racist. Okay, calm down.
Split across the Atlantic. They will be the winners if they see the transatlantic community erode. So it doesn't make sense.
Has he taken leave of his senses?
I don't know, but my observation is there is no strategy behind President Trump's behavior.
I wonder why you're reluctant to answer that question, because you've said, you know, it's time for flattery is over. So speak plainly. Do you think the people who say he's gone mad are right?
Yeah, but well, I think it is senseless the way he's behaving.
You described Donald Trump as behaving like an autocrat, like Putin, for example. And of course, he's invited Putin to his peace board. He's invited also autocrats from Belarus and Kazakhstan. Is he, Donald Trump, the biggest threat now to world peace?
Yes, indeed.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
Overnight, President Trump agreeing to meet face-to-face with NATO allies this week as European leaders race to rein in his push for Greenland. The president, who heads to Switzerland later to...
I just don't know how he's gonna... Like, I don't know if he truly wants Greenland in its entirety, or if it's like an autonomous zone or something. Maybe he can say he liberated Greenland and act as though he like gave Greenland independence and it becomes like an autonomous American zone or something. Like, I don't know. I don't know if he just like genuinely wants it. He says he genuinely wants it. I understand that, but it's just such a stupid fucking thing. Like, what I do feel like, however, is that if he actually does, you know, straight up forcibly take Greenland, like conquer Greenland, he will do it to Canada too. I guess maybe he'll like turn it into Puerto Rico or something. I don't know. See, OFA agreement might be the only way off this ramp and save face. Russia took Ukraine. He wants to do it as well, like a power move to show and expand as well. No, I don't think it's like that. There's a giant conspiracy with ice caps melting. China and Russia will be able to trade through the north. I mean, it's not a giant conspiracy. That's literally what is going on. Yes. An opening of a new trade route. I don't think that's a conspiracy theory at all. I think that is literally what is happening. And they want to have control over that. But you already can have bases in fucking Greenland. Do you guys not understand? NATO means you can put as many fucking bases as you want in Greenland. Okay? And that's actually what the Danish have said as well. They're like, Mr. President, like, what are you doing? This is we're a NATO country. Like, what the fuck? We invaded Iraq for you. Put as many bases as you want. You had bases in Greenland. A ton of bases.
Today for the World Economic Forum in Davos, posting he has agreed to a meeting of the various parties. Writing, as I expressed to everyone very plainly, Greenland is imperative for national and world security. There can be no going back. On that, everyone agrees. But NATO leaders are racing to de-escalate. Trump has threatened 8 NATO countries with punishing tariffs after they sent forces to Greenland in a show of support. Trump now revealing private text messages he received from French President Emmanuel Macron, saying, "We are totally in line on Syria. We can do great things on Iran. I do not understand what you are doing on Greenland." A source close to the French president confirming the message is genuine. It comes as Trump attempts to downplay his own text messages to Norway's prime minister, insisting his Nobel Peace Prize snub isn't a factor in his push for Greenland.
No, I don't care about the Nobel Prize.
Over the weekend, Norway's prime minister texted...
Okay, but you brought it up. Like, I don't think that's the primary reason here. Guys, come on, be real. Don't be liberals, okay? I don't think that's the major reason. But why bring it up? It's just a flex, I guess, to be like, because he is mad and he wanted to like show that he's mad, I guess. But like, I don't think that's the major reason. Although I will say, I don't see him invading FIFA. You know? So I guess there is evidence to suggest that if you do give him a prize, he won't invade you. You know? So I don't know.
Trump asking to work things out over the phone, but Trump firing back. "Dear Jonas, considering your country decided not to give me the Nobel Peace Prize for having stopped 8 wars plus, I no longer feel an obligation to think purely of peace, although it will always be productive."
He's such a bitch. Like, this is such a bitch-made thing to do, especially as the American president. Like, oh, you did this. I don't even want peace anymore. Yeah. You don't give me a Nobel Peace Prize? Well, guess what? You gave it to Barack Obama, but you wouldn't give it to me. Yeah, have fun with that. He's a petulant child. Iran needs to give Trump a gold mine and a tower with the only casino in the whole of Iran, and it doesn't work that way. I wish it did, but it doesn't work that way because Israel will intervene. That's the one country that can't do that, actually. Every other country can win favor with the king as long as they play ball in the courts, you know? My lordship, we have given you a $400 million plane from the glorious nation of Qatar. And then Trump will be like, "Qatar is so good. It's so nice to me. I love them. Al Jazeera, one of my favorite news stations. Very nice. Have you ever seen Doha? It's beautiful." But like, that's the one country that can't do that is Iran, I think. Unless they straight up were like, yeah, by the way, Qatar did that and still got bombed twice. Like, they did do that, and then they got bombed. And one was Israel, and then the other was when Iran bombed Qatar as retaliation for Israel and America. So I guess you could say both times were because of Israel.
Dominant, but can now think about what is good and proper for the United States of America. He's very preoccupied with the Nobel Peace Prize, the Norwegian Prime Minister told reporters. And as I've explained to him many times, it's an award given by a Norwegian committee, not by the Norwegian government.
If anybody thinks that Norway doesn't control the Nobel Prize, they're just kidding. They have a board, but it's controlled by Norway, and I don't care what Norway says.
Trump refusing to back down, overnight posting this edited image of an August Oval Office meeting with global leaders, showing the American flag covering Greenland. And this fabricated image of himself planting the American flag with a sign that says Greenland.
I guess I didn't think it would be this stupid. You know? Like I was expecting it. I just wasn't expecting it to be this dumb. Does that make sense? Like, it's definitely dumber than I envisioned it to be. Like, I joked about how stupid it will look, but I didn't think that it would be this much. War propaganda is always this dumb. Now it's just faster. I mean, but this is like back in the day, war propaganda was conducted by, I mean, it was designed by artists and you know, creative writing went into it. Like, now it's so blunt. You are sane washing him, lol. No, I am not sane. There is no sane washing this. Hello? You can't look at what's in front of you. What do you mean sane washing him? Yeah, I guess RIP Scott Adams. Scott Adams is dead, and so is right-wing propaganda. Are we sure it's an AI image?
U.S. territory. All eyes will now be on Davos as world leaders gather. They are going to try to turn down the temperature and convince Trump to back away from this insistence on taking Greenland and his threat of those punitive tariffs. But the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, speaking to reporters there in
Bro, the average American is dumber than a baboon. This shit works on their supple minds. Yeah. I think Americans have basically knotted themselves up into this like dumbass pretzel trying to fucking lean into like what their immediate resentment is. I saw a report outside of I think it was the Broadview ice facility. People were talking about, reporters were talking about how like a big chunk of the ice agents are like black and brown. One very interesting aspect of like what Trump is doing with ICE is that there are a lot of black and brown ICE agents, right? And it's really interesting to see like Americans, even like white supremacist Americans or Americans that have like all of this, you know, unrealized, unchecked white supremacist attitudes, watch black and brown ICE agents brutalize like white suburban moms and shit and not even feel some type of way. And then a reporter was talking about how they were outside of the Broadview ICE facility, and one of the black ICE agents was saying like, well, y'all weren't protesting when there were black people being trapped in here. And it's like do you not, like, what? So you do recognize what you're doing is fucked up. Like, what? Still regurgitating DEI ICE talking points? Wait, what? I mean, if you don't recognize that American fascism is very, very diverse, I don't know what to tell you. The American fascist movement and American fascism is very American. And by that, I mean very diverse, because to be diverse is to be American, ironically enough. Bro, there was a Somali ICE agent in Murderapolis, okay? Like, what are we doing? Like there are ice agents that are like of Somali American descent, Somali American background. That's it. We are a country where there have been old Asian men that have done mass shootings, girls in school that have done mass shootings, black white supremacists that have done mass shootings and school shootings. Like we're a country that is so diverse that to do a school shooting is to be American, okay? And because America is a very diverse country, the expression of white supremacy as the domineering American ideology is going to be expressed by different subsects of America that happen to be incredibly diverse.
Switzerland this morning saying, quote, everyone should take the president at his word. George.
NATO has never.
Any response to President Macron saying he will not join the border peace?
Oh, did he say that? Well, nobody wants him because he's going to be out of office very soon. So, you know, that's all right. What I'll do is if they feel like Costo, I'll put a 200% tariff on his wines and champagnes, and he'll join. But he doesn't have to join. If he said that, you're probably giving it to me a little bit differently. But if he actually did say that.
Macron begs for Beijing's help.
China is welcome, but what we need is more Chinese foreign direct investment in Europe in some key sectors to contribute to our growth, to transfer some technologies, and not just to export towards Europe some devices or products which sometimes don't have the same standards or are much more subsidized as the one being produced in Europe.
He's wearing Joe Biden glasses because he has like his eye is bleeding. Okay. Anyway, China's vice premier tells Davos world cannot revert to the law of the jungle. A select few countries should not have privileges based on self-interest, and the world cannot revert to the law of the jungle, where the strong prey on the weak. All countries have the right to protect their legitimate interests. Haley Feng, Chinese vice premier, also says, we should firmly support free trade.
Support free trade and jointly promote a universally beneficial and inclusive economic globalization. Economic globalization, driven by international specialization, collaboration, complementary strengths, and the pursuit of win-win, is a prevailing trend of history. It has benefited many countries, including China, and enabled them to achieve fast development. On the contrary, tariffs...
They fucking love trade maxing, dude. They will die if they don't trade max, okay? They love trade maxing so hard. They're like, please, let us trade more, please. They will trade max with the RSS in India. They will trade max with the military junta and also those who are opposing it. They will trade with anyone. Trade must continue. Do you understand?
And trade wars have no winners. Beyond driving up costs for production and trade, they fragment the world economy and disrupt the global distribution of resources.
We know the old order is not coming back. We shouldn't mourn it. Nostalgia is not a strategy. But we believe that from the fracture, we can build something bigger, better, stronger, more just. This is the task of the middle powers. The countries that have the most to lose from a world of fortresses and the most to gain from genuine cooperation. The powerful have their power. But we have something too. The capacity to stop pretending, to name reality, to build our strength at home, and to act together.
Governor Newsom, do you have a message for Europeans who are concerned about the messages from the White House around Greenland this week?
Yeah, it's time to buck up. It's time to get serious and stop being complicit. It's time to stand tall and firm, have a backbone. I've seen this in the United States.
This is our liberal, okay? Which way Western man? If this man wins, or if this man runs and wins in the primary, America is fucked, okay? It will revert back to the old system at a time when change is an absolute necessity. It will revert back to the old system. All the European fucking vassals will turn around and go, oh, thank God we avoided the worst possible outcome here. And then Tucker Carlson will bring about the Fourth Reich. We cannot let this happen. Yeah, I did talk about how Mark Carney said you and I were right about the rule-based order. He did. He fucking openly and readily admitted it. I still don't trust Carney that much, but I do think that he cares about Canada. And I do think that he cares about Canadian sovereignty at least, which is more than I can say about many of these other fucking European leaders like Keir Starmer. God, what a pathetic cuck he is. Holy shit. It blows my mind, dude. I cannot even comprehend how someone can be such a little worm.
The supine Congress playing both sides.
You're doing it again, Kamala 2.0. You know what, dude? You fucking deserve it, okay? You deserve it. You'll get what you're deserving. Don't worry. It'll be completely and totally and utterly out of my fucking hands anyway. You're doing it again. There hasn't even been a primary. We might not even have elections. I can't say that like what you have fantasized about the ordained liberal leader is bad. Fucking 2 years out of an election cycle? How can you be so fucking cucked? Bro's doing lesser evil voting for a vote that hasn't taken place yet, with a candidate that hasn't even actually become a candidate yet. I was going to say CI, but I think this might be a legit dumbass. No primary has taken place yet. There's no presidential election yet. And this guy literally goes, in the hypothetical design, even then you're not allowed to criticize the hypothetical person that's running for office. These are the people who shit on Zohran Mamdani initially and then turned around and became like major fucking... You reap what you sow in your community. The most honest Hasan head diehard liberal named Captain Socialism. You reap what you sow in your community. Yeah, I know. This is my fault. You're right. It is my fault because I allow anyone and everyone to say whatever the fuck they want. And of course, you're going to have dumbasses in here saying dumbass shit. I'm going to continue doing that, though.
One thing on a text or a tweet, another publicly.
Should
it's
you
time to
respond
have
with
principles.
tariffs?
It's time to stand tall and strong.
Does that mean responding with
tariffs? It's time to
tariffs?
stand united. You make that determination. I don't make that determination.
But when you say standing tall, what do you mean?
Just I can't take this complicity. People rolling over. I should have brought a bunch of knee pads for all the world leaders. I mean, handing out crowns and I mean, this is pathetic. Nobel Prizes, they are being given away. I mean, it's just pathetic. And I hope people understand how pathetic they look on the world stage. I mean, at least from an American perspective, it's embarrassing.
So what should Europe be doing?
You should decide, the Europeans should decide for themselves what to do. But one thing they can't do is what they've been doing. And they've been playing. This guy is playing folks for fools. And it's embarrassing.
Europeans think this is diplomacy and this will ultimately
this is
work.
diplomacy with Donald Trump? He's a T-Rex. You mate with him or he devours you. One or the other.
And Europe's
being
devoured?
People need to stand, but no, the Europeans could be if they continue down this path and process. They need to stand tall, stand firm, stand united. Look, you said this a year ago we should have been having this conversation, and they didn't. Okay, and now you're paying the price.
I mean, he's right about everything he's saying here, to be fair. Even though he himself is also buckled under no pressure whatsoever when talking to Ben Shapiro, a whole ass loser with no real constituency that remains in the base of support of the Republican Party.
Exactly what anyone objective observer would have anticipated we'd be where we are today.
What do you think Ursula von der Leyen needs to say?
That could lead to the end of the European Union?
Well, I don't want to be hyperbolic about it, but this guy's a wrecking ball. I hope people are waking up to what we're dealing with. This is it's code red. I mean, you guys are still playing by all set of rules. Everybody, the globe is with this guy. He's unmoored. It's the law of the jungle. It's the rule of dawn. And I hope it's dawning on the world what we're up against. I mean, this is serious. This guy he's not mad. He's very intentional. but he's unmoored and he's unhinged, and it requires you. The goal is whatever he wants it to be. The goal is the world in his image.
What would your
He's
advice?
a narcissist. I mean, it's no advice. Common sense. Why don't folks do what they say publicly, what they're saying in private? Why don't they just simply do what they know is right? I mean, everybody's talking behind his back. They're laughing at him. Meanwhile, they're sucking up to him. It's embarrassing. I mean, you're modeling behavior for our kids, generations of folks. This is not diplomacy. This is stupidity.
If they don't act, does this end with military solution in Greenland?
I don't know. I mean, it just... who knows what happens in that respect? But with Donald Trump, you saw what happened to Maduro. You're seeing what's happening on American streets. You saw what happened in the state of California, where he put 700 active duty Marines. He didn't send them overseas. Last year, he sent them to the American city, second largest city in the United States of America. He's got 1,500 active folks, members of the military, on call near Minneapolis. This guy has put a police state. You got a guy dressed up in SS uniforms.
You're making him sound dangerous.
Dangerous? You seen this guy, Greg Bovino? You seen what's happening with ICE and secret police and masked men, people disappearing? Wake up. Where the hell has everybody been? Stop with this bullshit diplomacy of sort of niceties, and somehow we're all going to figure it out. Stop saying one thing privately and another publicly. Have some spine. Have some goddamn balls.
You say you should stand up, but you're not being clear. I'm not clear.
I'm being crystal clear. I'm being crystal clear.
But what's your advice?
I leave that to others.
I wish you meant it. I mean,
listen, we always say that in Europe we do not have the means for our ambitions. In this case, I will say that so far we haven't got the ambition to use our means. Because when it comes to trade, when it comes to access to our market, which is the most important in the world, and also when it comes to digital legislation, we have all the necessary means and power. We haven't used them so far because we have followed the strategy of appeasement of Donald Trump. This was a major mistake of Ursula von der Leyen, but also of the Italian or the German government, which put the European Commission toward this appeasement strategy. And we see that the appeasement strategy is not working. You know, in Italy there is an old saying which goes, if you behave like a sheep, the wolf will eat you. And we have been behaving like sheep, and Donald Trump has got always more and more appetite. So I think that we do not want a trade war. We want Donald Trump to stop, to threaten and bully us.
I want to slap them all with respect and love. I want to slap Sturmer.
A loving slaps.
I want to head slap Macron, all of them. My God, he's been president for a year, and all you guys over there have done is flatter him. Macron, they all come over here, Starmer, and they pat his head, and they bring him toys, and they flatter him and appease him. He's a bully. He's a coward. What Donald Trump needs is a punch in the face. Is there not one European leader that will stand up and say, F off, Donald Trump, Greenland ain't yours, and punch him in the face? I think whichever European leader did that, Ben, would be an international hero.
What else does Europe do now but actually start treating the United States like an enemy? And
it's so funny that all the biggest scumbags are 100% correct, because Trump is a much larger scumbag. But they're right. He's out of his damn mind. And the reality is, you do need to push back, because he's not going to stop.
Going all in the first instance on a trade war. The only language that bullies understand is aggression. Whether or not we have the leaders, whether we have the people, whether or not we have the will, I do not know. Now is the time to act as if, not as if, to act because the United States is our enemy. It's the enemy of Europe. It's the enemy of the United Kingdom. It's the enemy of anything that stands in the way of Donald Trump's insatiable insanity. It's not going to succumb to the rules of reason and rationality suddenly. So what do? You've got now to push back. You have to fight fire with fire. You have to out-bully the bully, don't you?
Everyone's saying there's nothing we can do. We can stop watching American TV. I'm a massive fan of American TV and American film. I've got friends who work in the industry in America. But at the end of the day, I'm just thinking that's one thing that would really hit them. If everybody stopped going to the theatre...
Bro, they're trying to do BDS to America.
At the cinema to see American stuff.
I mean, good on them. Yeah, they should.
Turning on the American television. And I really hate to hurt my friends who work in the industry, but we've got to do something. He'll be after the financial industry in London next. I mean, he's probably already got it earmarked. He's a lunatic. Trump is an idiot as running the village. He's the idiot and the world is a village. We've got to do something. I'm not going to buy a new phone. I really, really need a new phone, but I am not buying a phone from a well-known American company at the moment until this is sorted. Me and my husband's American, we were going to go to America this year. We're not going to America this year. You've got to make a stand, even as an individual. We've all...
He's like, my husband's American. I'm divorcing him. I told him no more sex for you. No more shagging. Until you go and vote the right way.
Close your eyes and think of a world without America in it.
Bro, they literally are just... I mean, they're madmen.
It becomes pretty dark, pretty darn quickly.
What?
When America shines, right? And everyone said, oh, you're going to do all these tariffs, you're going to destroy the world. The world's stock markets are up. Which ones of them? All of them.
Can I bring you back to Greenland?
No. It's unnecessary. It's the Western Hemisphere is vital for the United States of America. Our national security people are on it, and they care about it, and I'm going to leave it to them to address with our allies, with our friends, and with everyone how they work it out. But the Western Hemisphere matters to the United States of America, and the United States of America, as I've just articulated, really, really matters to the world. When America shines, the world shines, because they all need to make sure America is strong and powerful to take care of them, God forbid. And so I think America and the Western Hemisphere are vital to America, and I'm going to leave that to my national security people to address.